Well, this is unit crane 514, and I'm making this video as I haven't made videos in the past several years. I think my last video I was 16 years old, working in a machine shop, and dealing with high school life. I'm now 25. I'm a union crane operator in Local 324 out of Michigan. I still have the love of old cranes. This is my 1953 Northwest Model 25 dragline crane. I want to take the time to show you guys this crane and make a nice video to upload to my YouTube channel, hoping to rekindle old subscriptions and maybe spark new interest in these machines. As scrap prices have been rising, a lot of them have been disappearing. I purchased this machine 2 years ago, and the man I purchased it from is one of my best friends, a man that I learned everything I know about crane operating from. I used to be his oiler, and him and I made this crane a pet project of ours. He located it and struck a deal with a woman who had it, and her husband had died. Her husband was an electrician, and he dreamed of digging a pond with it, and that dream just never happened, and the crane sat dormant for about 15 years. So him and I, in the middle of winter, it was probably 11 degrees outside. We stole 2 fresh batteries from work. Well, we borrowed them. And we come out and we got this old girl fired up, dead of winter, and it woke up like it was just shut off the day before. It's powered by a Murphy MP11 diesel. It's a 4-cylinder, makes about 110 horsepower, 4-cycle diesel. Now, if you remember in my past videos, when I was a kid, my dreams were always of owning a Northwest 25 with a Murphy. And when my friend got busy with work, as we all do, he decided that, he wasn't going to have the time for this crane, and knowing that it was my dream of owning one, he offered it to me, and I couldn't say no. Now, prior to this machine, I had purchased a Northwest Model 41 with a pull shovel attachment that is still currently in non-operating condition. If you follow my page, Old Cranes and Shovels, Matt Bowe runs the page, and I'm one of the moderators. You can keep up to date, current time with all the projects that I work on. So I just wanted to do a quick walk around of this machine and show you what my intentions are. This machine is kind of rare. As you can see, that roller and that roller are different. 25s that left the factory had 2 top idlers right next to each other, in between the I-beams. This one is different. It's offset. So, being that it is an offset undercarriage, the tracks are longer in the front than they are in the rear. And the reason Northwest offered this undercarriage was for pull shovel operation. When this machine was new in 1953, it was sold out of it was sold out of Cyril Burke Equipment, and it was purchased by Carnegie & Sons. Now, Carnegie & Sons used this machine with a pull shovel attachment. Now, in the late 70s, early 80s, pull shovels came out of fashion, and these machines would go to auction. And what would happen is these contractors would buy them, knowing full well that they could use this machine as a crane, cut the pull shovel boom off right in the auction yard, leave it for scrap, and then buy a crane boom for it. Now, luckily in this crane's position, it was fitted with a factory Northwest 25D boom. Now, you can tell it's a 25D boom because it has factory back hitches for factory boom stops. Now, the 25 never had factory boom stops. You can see there's no lugs at the top of the A-frame for them. So this has a nice updated boom on it. It does have a factory revolving fair lead. Everything was professionally installed. I'm sure a Northwest mechanic did it. This crane runs and operates fairly well, although it does need quite a bit of tuning. I have a gentleman coming out of Plainville, Michigan. He's going to come out and fine-tune everything on the crane. He's going to install new brakes, clutches, go through the drive system on it. I'll take you up in the cab and show you the Murphy diesel. This crane has a nice feature. Somebody installed these nice lights. These machines are often very dark, very difficult and miserable to work on. You know, creature comforts such as light bulbs make everything nice. So this is the 4-cylinder Murphy diesel. Right here you have your generator, your Viking fuel pump. Now, these generators are very unique in the sense that being that a Murphy diesel is fired by the injectors and they have plunger style unit injectors, there's no injection pump. They just have a supply pump. Now, the supply pump provides about 14 pounds of fuel pressure to the engine at all times. And at times, these systems can lose prime. And the idea Murphy come up with was that they were going to drive the fuel pump off an auxiliary drive on the generator. What that means is you can push this button here. Mine does not work because it's messed up. It does generate, it just doesn't work. And this little clutch would engage and run the fuel pump. So you could prime the fuel system. And you would sit and watch the sight glass to make sure there was no bubbles of fuel in the sight glass, being that your system would be primed with no air in the system. That does not work on my machine, but I have never had any issues with this machine starting up. It fires right up every time I ask it to. If you're noticing this wetness on the intake, I refilled this oil bath air cleaner with oil the last time I serviced it. I might have put too much in and it leaked out. It needs a good power washing in here, more or less steam cleaning. But down here on this side, that is your boom hoist drum. This is the one clutch. This is the drag clutch. And you can see the pads, they are thin. They need to be gone through. But one thing that this crane does have going for it well is that the brake flanges, they have very, very light pitting. I haven't used this drag clutch hardly at all. This will clean up just fine. The hoist clutch, I do a lot of tinkering and lifting with this. The hoist clutch, it's got some pitting, but it's very smooth. The brakes are nice on this machine. Very tight in these cabs. Lots of levers to operate them. I have a new seat coming. A good friend of mine, Dave O'Barry, is going to sell me a nice seat, factory Northwest seat that I can put in here. But as with anybody, I just have to have the time to go pick it up from the man. This lever down here, this is your main engine clutch. These two levers operate your jaw clutches. This is the swing jaw clutch. This is the boom jaw clutch. These are your two track steering levers. One of mine was broke off at some point in time and they put a pipe on it. I'm going to get a lever that's been cut off and weld it back on so it's like normal. This is your travel jaw clutch. This is your swing brake. This is the hoist, the drag, and the swing lever. And the swing lever is also referred to as your reversing shaft lever that operates the swing, the boom, and the travel on the machine. Hand throttle for in the cab. This machine has all factory original glass in it. It's in immaculate shape. Just needs to be scraped with a razor blade, get the bugs and grime off of it. But in 1962, this machine, when it was owned by its original owner, the pull shovel boom on it, it was boomed over backwards when they were loading it on a truck. And they called Northwest in 1962, and they had a replacement cab ordered for this machine. I have all the original paperwork for it. And the dead giveaway that the cab was replaced is this radiator grill. This radiator grill here is a later model. It's slotted. The original Northwest radiator grills had a round band of steel around them, and they had like a chicken wire expanded steel as a radiator grill. Personally, I think that design on the Northwest, it fits them. It looks better. But it is, I find it fascinating how these machines go through changes through the years. Whatever the owner needed, they adapted. This machine is in need of scraping, paint, rust repair. But we do have solid steel to work with. That is a plus. This crane has 55 foot of boom. It has two 10-foot inserts into it, and it has continuous reeving down to the boom tip. In my case, I moved the crane with all the boom in it. I just hang it over the ass of the lowboy, and she's good to go, road legal. Now, if you had more boom in the crane, that would become a problem. That piece of strut on the end of the boom used to be a flagpole, and I intend to restore that here when I get some time. It has the factory nameplates on the boom. I have it fitted with a 2-part block. I'm not sure where this 2-part block come from. I believe it came from an electric overhead crane in a shop, but it suits my needs just well. Made by the Upton Walton Company. If you notice here, I have the upper chained to the lower. My swing brake is severely out of adjustment, and when it became out of adjustment, we had some high winds here on the farm, and it blew the crane around, so I decided to chain it. I do know how to adjust the brake. It's just miserable to work on, and we haven't had a nice day here in Michigan to work on it. This is the other side of the crane. This is your main gear case that comes off of the Murphy diesel. This right here. And underneath this panel, we fold this up. You can see Northwest, they called this a rag joint. It's basically like a Lovejoy coupling. It takes all the harmonics and the slight disalignment from the engine to the gear case out. I mean, you can run these things within an eighth out and you won't have any severe issues. These engines only run about 1,200 RPM at the most. I think mine is governed around 1,000. This here is your secondary gear case. It runs your drums and it ties into the reversing shaft. And under here is a stub shaft for a reversing clutch if this machine were fitted with a shovel attachment. If you notice the oil leaks, that is actually completely normal on a Northwest. When these machines were new at the factory, if they didn't have a puddle of oil underneath them, they didn't have oil in them. The Northwest factory was a cesspool of oil, grease, and tar. An environmentalist nightmare in these times. But there is a reason these machines are still around. You can see this machine has Woolwick oil cups all throughout it for lubrication. I keep those filled with 30 weight motor oil. Seems to do the trick. I'll take you for a walk around the backside. This isn't the factory paint job. They didn't have Northwest written all over them or the newer updated Northwest 25 logo. Somebody did that later on in the years. And you can see the back of the machine is dented in, just like the one that I was around when I was a kid. Just not as severe, but I'll get this pushed out. These machines have a habit of having weak tracks, getting stuck, and somebody always comes up with a loader and says, "Hey buddy, I'll give you a push," and it never ends well. But hopefully in the next upcoming weeks, months, I'll be uploading more videos of this machine. Maybe some repair videos. I have lots of repairs to do on this, but I do need it on the farm. I have lots of drainage issues out here, lots of land clearing, and this machine is going to be the solution to all of that. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will be hopefully posting more when I get time. But there it is, my Northwest 25.